What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and today we are back for some more Code Vein. Code Vein music be like, alright, I'm gonna go hard now. Absolutely correct. You were right. Thank you all for being here. And in the last episode, we didn't have as much time as usual because I could not get Code Vein to run properly. But when I got it up and running, we actually were able to beat the successor of Breath, I believe it was. That's literally who it was. So we are going to go to the next successor area, which you guys have told me is at one of the... I forget where it was. I think I'll know it if I see it. I think it was like the gate in the Cathedral of Sacred Blood. It said it was already assigned. I'm using it. That was weird. That it tried to like reassign my headset to itself, I guess. Gated room, I believe it is. This is what I was told was the next one. I thought that we had already done this one because this was in the... It was in the image here. And I know that I had gone through the ones with the thumbnail and the door in it. And I had actually gone there and tried to fight the successors. So maybe I missed it. But I'm going to follow your advice, everyone, and see if maybe I did miss something over there. And okay. There we go. Yeah, it was weird. The headset decided it was going to reconnect itself.
Good to be with you.
You know what? Good to be with you too, Lewis. Alright, so this is the gated room. Now don't exactly know. Oh, no, this is where we went. Right? Or did we go in the wrong order? I mean, we went here. Did we try and go here before? No, we wouldn't have gone here before the successor. Yeah, I don't think we can do this yet, so... Pretty sure we're going to have to pull out of this one, but you know what? Since I don't actually remember when we did this, if it was at the end of last stream, which I'm pretty sure it was, I'll do it now. And if it won't let us in, that's fine. Then we'll pull out. But, yeah, where... It's a good question, though.
It's not opening. Let's try somewhere else. I guess it's locked.
Let's try somewhere else, he says. Okay. So I don't think we can go this way right now, guys. Unfortunately.
It's still working.
I don't exactly know the prerequisites, so... Okay, so I'm not looking at how to get to each one or where, but I am on good old Extra Life wiki, and it says that there are, I believe, 5 of these. So we checked 2 that want to open. We defeated 2, which means there's got to be 1 that we haven't done yet. So, okay. Hey, Krim, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you. But yeah, following that advice, so I believe you guys are correct. Like, I do think this is coming up next. But apparently there's 5 of these, and we've only beaten 2. So we still have to figure out exactly where we have to go. There is one idea that I have from before. And that was, we had a spot that we never were able to reach, actually. It had an item over there that I wanted to check out. So I'm going to teleport back here and see if we can get that, because I think there might be something to that. I'm not sure. It could be absolutely nothing. But Yeah, apparently we're missing one of the gated doors. I'm thinking they're all in Cathedral of Sacred Blood then, because all of them were... Wait a second. No, one was in here. One was in the ice area. I mean, obviously one was in the ice area because we defeated the Successor of Breath, but another one was in the ice area that we can't access yet either. Those are the two we can't access. So we were missing one, but that means it could be here, or it could be... Yeah, that does make things actually a little bit more complicated then, because that means it could be here, but also it could be at the Cathedral of Sacred Blood, and they're both really big areas. This one's not so big, but okay. I guess let's just start doing this methodically, and hopefully we will. Oh, and hopefully we'll figure out where we have to go. Hey, what's up, Robert? Nice to see you, buddy. Appreciate you stopping in. Krim says, I got an operating system test tomorrow morning. Going to be studying all night. That can be a rough one. I liked operating systems a lot. My class was titled Operating Systems, but yeah, if you're going to be studying all night, that is going to be a rough morning. So yeah, tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's going to be a rough morning because you're going to study, and then you're going to wake up, and then you're going to take the test. It's okay. I'm sure you'll do fine, though, honestly. I usually, when I was very nervous about a test, what's funny is I never did poorly. The only tests I ever did poorly on were ones that I felt confident about, and I did not take enough precautions. So I don't think you have to really worry. I'm sure with studying, you'll be just fine, honestly. Robert says, I hope that you're doing well. Thanks, Robert. Doing pretty darn well. Very busy. You can't really see my desk right now, but it is just cluttered. I have stuff all over the place right now as I'm trying to get everything done on time, and yeah, just trying to plan everything out. I have 3 of the videos done that I need for when I'm away, so that's pretty good. I'm only missing 1 video. So I'm going to be working on that this weekend and trying to knock that out. But otherwise, yeah, doing really well. Just tired. Starting to get pretty tired, but we're almost done. How you doing, Robert? Yeah, I saw that coming, actually. Okay, so I feel pretty confident it's not here that we get to it. I think we could at least teleport to the previous missile, so I'm going to do that. How long will your trip be? It'll only be about a week, but I'm taking some time off before and after, actually, just so that I don't have to work or do anything like that. So it'd be pretty nice to just relax for a bit. Hey, David, nice to see you, buddy. Robert says, I see, that's good. I'm doing fine. Glad to hear it. I like hearing that. Fine is always pretty good, you know. I'll take a fine over a bad any day. That's for sure.
This place gives us some more room.
We are... Hi, buddy. Why are you hiding back here? Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think we're going to have a nice time. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. Just getting everything ready beforehand is, a little tight, but we will be fine. So I don't feel like we get to that area from over here at all. As far as I can tell, we can't go anywhere that will lead us there. But last episode, I looked over here pretty thoroughly, and I did not see anything that could get us over there. We have to get all the way over there. I mean, I can sprint and roll, but there is no way in hell we're making that. I mean, I'm gonna try it because I'm like, I can't. Oh, it won't even let us. Oh, so it doesn't let us roll off, but we can run off just fine. Less work and stress. So I feel relaxed. I have time to work on my game. That is good. That is always good. I will never not appreciate some of that. Already gravity death. It wasn't even on purpose, okay? Not that it ever is, but I mean, I wasn't even... I was gonna stop because I'm like, it's not gonna let me fall off. So there, I see a little entrance down. Yeah, I don't know about that one, fellas. That looks like we would come from lower and be able to get to it somehow. Okay. Let's try it again. I'm trying not to waste too much time looking for this stuff, but since I don't exactly know where we have to go, could be useful to try and get it. Might unearth where we have to go as well, actually. So we got all the way back to this missile, and I feel pretty confident it's not before then. Oh, wait a second. I see an item right up this way on the map that we haven't gotten. So maybe this is literally as simple as running over here and running to the left. Oh, that was literally that simple. Okay, so that's great, actually. Who was talking there? Because that wasn't Lewis. I didn't really mean to go this way. Actually, I was trying to go the other way, but we're already heading this direction. So let's just see what's over here. Pick this stuff up. Well, that ended up being easier than I expected, which is great. What is that symbol? Oh, a gate. Can we open it? Oh, it does not open from the side. Wait, so there's somewhere we're still missing, though, that we could open from over here. So maybe where we're looking for is still over here. Hold on. Let's run back here for a second. So we have this. And so will this just transport us back, probably? I think that will just bring us back to the Cathedral of Sacred Blood. I don't know, like... I'm going to try this because I haven't done it. So just in case I'm wrong, I don't want to rule it out. But I think this is just going to teleport us back to Cathedral of Sacred Blood. Let's see. Where are you going to bring me? Oh, yeah, if you didn't know, I'm a double major in both game design and computer science. So that's why I got to take classes like OS. Hey, that is awesome. I did not know that. And operating systems is amazing. So I'm glad you're taking that class. Like, it should be a lot of fun, hopefully. Hopefully you're enjoying it as much as I did. But... yeah, I think that's a good class, so I support the heck out of that. I hope you enjoy it, honestly. All right. Yeah, this just brought us back to the Cathedral of Sacred Blood, actually. So that did not do... what is that symbol right there? I see someone blue... can I... oh, it's saying I can... oh, I think I know what that is. That's saying I could restore the vestige there, right? Because there's one of the Mia... no. Sorry, I forget her name right now. But it's saying one of the characters can take the vestige. I mean, we can do that. Because at the moment, I do not know where I'm going for the successor. So let's go here and take care of that. And then let's go back again to the ice area. Snow area. Because I feel like we're pretty close. I think I might have an idea of how to get where I want to go. Why is this blocked off again, though? Oh, it's not. Okay.
The ability of the successor here is fascinating. I never dreamed the ribcage could create such things. I want to harness this power for all revenants. That means I have to do more research into the ribcage. But are there any clues as to where the successor is? No trace of the successor. No trace of...
okay. So that is what it wanted me to see. It had like a 1 next to it, but... do I have to talk to you again or something?
Louis, the rest is up to you. You met with the researcher outside?
Yes.
She's been a nuisance lately.
I'm sorry, I wasn't
Louis,
around.
you met with the She's been a nuisance lately, pacing around and complaining. Very well. In that case, take this with you. It has no special power, but it may provide clues depending on who looks at it. That seems fair enough, doesn't it? I can understand what she wants, after all. Louis, Karen's sleeping peacefully in the heart room. You should look in on her if you have the time. I'm sure she would appreciate it. Louis, I'm sure.
Okay, so she actually gave us something that we can give to the researchers, and maybe that will help us with the successors, actually. It's a good thing I did talk to her. I didn't remember the map showing, like, a little person with a notification next to it, but maybe they knew this part was going to be a little confusing.
I'll have to take good care of that.
Okay. Hey, Scarecrow, what's up? How you doing?
On my way.
I like how many flights of stairs we have to go. Well, there's just nothing. We've just built all these stairs. We knew we were going to have to house her. Alright, let's bring this to the researcher then. Don't forget. I almost forgot. That's why I'm saying it out loud. Bring this to her before we teleport away.
Yikes! Don't sneak up on me like that. You should really... Hold on. Where did you find
Rib touch
this?
spike.
With it, I might learn the effects on the Thorns of Judgment. They're the spikes that suddenly grew from the land during the Great Collapse. It's hard to believe, but the cathedral wasn't always here. It was nothing but thorns before. Which leads me to think the
That is
Successors
interesting.
have enough power to alter the thorns in some way.
Okay, that is
I used to
interesting.
work for a laboratory doing research into how to stop the horrors. But our research gradually deviated away from what could be called...
I
used to work
gradual
for a lab,
deviation.
research gradually deviated away from what could be called humane. I couldn't take it anymore.
Gradual
So I
deviation.
ran away. Now I'm traveling on my own, researching the Successors to find my own way to combat the threat. I used to work at
Okay, cool. I'm doing good. How's everyone doing? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, Scarecrow. Really well, actually. Just trying to figure out where we have to go next. Although we did give that that spike to her, which might be helpful. And also I have one more spot I want to look now, since we saw that gate. It reminded me of that gate. Hey, I finally made it and it worked. How y'all doing? It's Dude from China, by the way. Hey, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Just tired. Went from working to this, and then I got some stuff to do after work, but doing really well. Thanks for asking. By the way, ECGC is in 2 weeks. That's our next milestone. We'll be presenting our game Violent Steel there. Awesome. You know I am excited to see it, and I was serious about what I said. Keep working on it, and if you get to a point where you want to show it off, I'd be happy to play it during one of the game dev ones that we do, honestly. So yeah, starting to crunch for that. Yep, that's fair. Crunch is, not fun, but I do respect what you're going through and hope you're enjoying it. It can be fun. It's got its moments.
That's quite valuable. Let's use it well.
I want to defeat you just because you look so cool. Like, you have different armor on than the rest. But I don't think you were actually doing anything or guarding anything, to be completely honest. That water is almost definitely certain death. So that's not where we have to go. Yeah. Very kind of you both. You are enjoying it. Okay, that is good news then. That is good news. Yeah, you don't want it to become a chore because you stop enjoying it very quickly.
It's slippery here.
But as long as you're enjoying it, it's okay. It can be done well and at a point where it's not too much.
That looks deep.
This we could not get to last time. I don't know if that's changed because of the researcher for any reason, but honestly I kind of doubt it. I don't see why that would have an effect on it. So I'm going to keep exploring for where that gate is and how to get to that. Although actually that gate might be related to that, now that I'm thinking about it. So that's that might be Actually, this might be a pretty fruitless endeavor if we don't check it out. Let's check it out. I'm tired of looking for these successors this way, but you know what? Let's do it while we're here. Just in case so we don't have to run back later, okay? That's fine. Take my health. I don't need to climb down all these ladders. Makes such a good sound. Okay, yeah, it won't open for us.
It won't open?
Nope, it won't open, buddy. I was able to play Crim's game, and it was genuinely very exciting. I would be happy to showcase it here on the stream, just like we've done with Pyro's game. It's a good question. Alright, so sorry guys that we are just kind of going in circles here, but I don't think there is actually anything we need to do for that gate, which means giving the researcher that thorn was... Oh, it's just loading, right? Giving the researcher the thorn was the right move. I'm glad we did that. And so that probably opened something up somewhere for me to do, but I'm not sure. So maybe I should just go back to the Cathedral of Sacred Blood, honestly. That might be the best bet right now. Let's try one more thing before we do that even. I want to go back to... Actually, you know what? Let's do this. I'll tell you exactly what we're going to do. Because... Let's go to this one real quick. Check something out. Yeah, I have an idea. I mean, it's really tough to know where to go in this one. Because I don't know why the gates won't open. Like, even in Dark Souls, it'll tell you, like, oh, you know, produce the sign of the king or something. I remember from Dark Souls 2, when we were stuck outside with the trees, and you had to get the king's ring, right? It kind of gives you a hint. This is just like, yeah, that door won't open. Try somewhere else. And it's like,
Wanna head up?
You sure about that, buddy? Oh, there we go. So I can actually see the whole map. So where haven't we been, now that I can see that?
I should probably check my equipment too.
Okay. It's kind of hard to tell because I don't know. Like that one that looks like a semicircle in the middle, I wonder, is that supposed to be a full circle? Did I not follow that around and connect it? Or are those actually just pathways that don't really lead anywhere? So that makes it a little bit tough. Okay, that's a good answer. I'm going to try this one more time, guys, because you guys did say that it was next, and I believe you, genuinely. I'm just trying to figure out what steps I'm missing in between. I do know... Oh, yeah, the vestige. I was supposed to do that, actually. I'm going to see... I don't know if you guys know. If you know, you can answer. I want to see if we can... Can we give the vestiges to anyone? If I go back to the same... The hub area. Can I give them the same ones as I could give to the ones outside of the boss arenas? Okay. So I do have to give them to the proper people, I believe. Because it says they have different tiers and each tier has different parts to repair. Front of the... Okay. So I think, actually...
It's not opening.
Okay, so wait a second. Let's try restoring these then. Because now I think that is good information. See, I didn't realize that. So everywhere... Alright, hold on a second. Can I see the ones that I have, or do I just, like, literally have to wait? Oh, here we go. Okay, well, none of those really mean anything to me, so I was hoping to get a hint from that, but that's not going to work. I did not mean to do that. Forgive me for that. Come on. Bring me back up one more time. I'll stay off the button. The loading fog keeps getting me, I'll tell you. Okay. Always want to know what it's like to be working for a game company. So it depends on the company. Typically depends on the size. I don't have a ton of experience in the gaming industry. I've done more in the simulation industry, but it's a good question. And in my honest opinion, the smaller companies are a lot friendlier, a lot easier to work in, don't require as much crunch. Might not be the same for everyone, but that's my experience with it. The bigger companies are going to honestly keep you busy, which can be good. I mean, there's fun elements to it, and typically you're pretty proud of what it is you're creating. But you're usually working very hard. I wouldn't say it's like cutthroat. You're friends with the people that you're working with, but it is you'll be working the whole time. Like they'll keep putting pressure on you to do more and more work. So it's a little bit more stressful, in my honest opinion. But some people actually really love it. There are people who got in there and they don't want to do anything else because they really enjoy it. I'm not one who enjoys that so much, so for me, it was easier to work in a smaller team, but it's not to say anything against it. For real, that's just my honest opinion on it. And student projects are still just as good, just as useful. Oh.
Could you fix this stuff up for us?
Yikes, you must have seen some real action. Don't worry, I've got it taken care of. So what happened?
Huh?
You all look so happy, especially Mia.
Oh, well, yeah.
He didn't say anything. She has no context. Oh, well, yeah, as a response.
What is she doing here?
Please, Jack. You have to save Jack. She's about to frenzy.
Let's take her to the back. We can shoot her there. How do you feel?
I apologize for barging in like that. What's going on exactly?
I can't believe she's still wearing the strap like that.
Underneath the cathedral.
It's like everyone calls it anime Dark Souls.
We were attacked there. Jack lured them away so that I could... Slow down.
Attacked? Wait, what were you doing down there in the first place?
Our mission is the preservation of the Successors and their relics. It is not a new phenomenon for Successors to go into a frenzy. There has always been a need for someone to monitor them and to stop them if they ever begin to turn. A successor
Dude,
acts as a vessel.
Wait, you gotta be kidding
Both
me.
body and will.
Rating really comes in and just gives 5 subs. Oh my goodness, thank you, Raiden.
That's why.
That was so kind.
While you were hunting for revenants?
Oh, thank you so much. You didn't even say anything.
We considered
option.
Appreciate that, buddy.
But in the end, that was the only one that would work.
I see. Hey, Crimson's
I know
proud.
it's no excuse for what we've done, even if it was the only way. That is simply a burden I will.
Oh
have
my
to live
goodness. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate that.
with. I will always.
The
carry
mad
them
lad,
with me.
Raiden.
I will never forget the faces and dreams of those who stepped forward to keep the relics safe.
This is what I do, Brodsky. Came in just completely silent.
It really can't be all that easy to find a replacement vessel.
That's why we're here, to keep a constant eye on the condition of the other successors.
Wait, you guys are successors too?
I don't know. How many
Watch the
successors could there be?
successors for signs of frenzy, while I act as a temporary replacement.
Even Yakima was like, I'm not really buying this story.
My voice has the power to stave off frenzy, for a time at least.
Whoa. My voice has the power to stave it off.
Temporary vessel. I think I'm beginning to see.
There's a successor resting in a crypt under the cathedral. We were traveling through the tunnels down there to check on them. I know I have no right to ask you for help.
You guys were right yet again. We are going to those tunnels. We just had to go to the home base first. That's what was missing.
It's all right. You rest here for now.
Yeah, we'll rescue Jack. Jack's a free man. I'll go get Dante. I'll save him.
Actually, I have a question. The successor whose crypt is under the cathedral. Do you know who they are?
I do. In addition to a number of other scientific endeavors, he was involved in revenant research and an integral part of Project Queen. I believe you may have heard of him.
I haven't.
Juzo Mido.
I haven't heard of him.
Did you say Mido?
You know him?
Yeah. He sold us out. Me and my entire family.
Never heard of him. Okay, so thank you so much, Raiden. Appreciate that, buddy. I was not expecting that. What's funny is, for real, I just looked up and I was like, wait, what's all that? I thought people were chatting. That was so kind. Thank you so much. Gifted a total of 15 times. That is genuinely not a small accomplishment. Really grateful for that. Thank you. And, okay, that was the live stream notification from Discord. Never mind. I thought this notification wasn't going out anymore. Sometimes I can see it, sometimes I can't. What? Okay, that's what I do. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It really, I mean, it means a lot. I don't know if I made that clear, honestly, but it does. I really appreciate that. And sorry, I got an email, and it was from, well, anyway, it's not that important. It was work related, but what was funny is someone who they're supposed to be out because they're like 3 hours or they're a few hours ahead of us. It's still working apparently at like 8 or 9 o'clock. I just thought that was interesting. I was really confused when I saw that. Why is she losing clothes? David was right. She literally has less clothes.
I want to tell you.
You can't even show her from the front because she's got so little clothes on, is what I'm guessing. That's why I guess they picked that camera angle. Thank you. Appreciate that. Kabuki says, I don't know what happened, but it says I was gifted tier 1 sub. What does it do? It's paid for you to be subscribed to Shawn. That's correct.
Do you know of her?
Sorry, I did not see that message.
I heard she looks very similar to me. At some point, she simply vanished, leaving behind only a single vestige.
Okay.
Louis thought it might mean something, so he brought it to me. I know nothing about her, but I feel that I should.
There are memories in this vestige. Please, could you show me?
See, I feel like your attire could probably change, honestly. You know, it just feels like maybe that was okay when we started the journey, like that's what you were wearing. But now kind of everyone, look at everyone else. They're wearing full-on clothes. I've even covered up part of my towel.
My name is Leda. I am an attendant, here to serve and support you in your tasks.
I see. But even so, I'm sorry. I cannot allow you to come inside.
Thanks, Raiden, right? Let's go.
It will not be a problem. I will stay and attend to you from out here.
In that case, do you think you could talk with me for a while?
Code Vein music being like, I'm going hard. Yo, Stream Elements is going hard too.
Do not worry, Successor. I have performed my duty and dealt with the intruder. They will not be able to revive now.
God.
Return to Ash.
That's... driving them off is enough, isn't it? Why did you have to go so far?
My duty is to protect and defend you. I must ensure threats are completely repelled before they have a chance to cause you harm.
As the successor of the ribcage, I order you to stop hunting revenants immediately.
No. I'm sorry, Successor, but I will do what must be done. That is my purpose.
Leda.
Well, he's a little bloody after that one. I don't know.
Successor, another intruder has been
Repelled.
Successor.
Another intruder has been repelled.
It looks like I won't be able to remain myself for much longer.
Oh, she is actually just
Thank
completely
you for
bloody.
everything, Leda. When that time comes, my only regret is leaving you all alone. You've always been so unerringly steadfast.
I do not understand. I have performed my duty. I have done everything I was supposed to do. Everything I was supposed to do to protect my successors.
Okay. Yep, that sounds like a good plan. I think that's what we do. That should be a good build for it. Let's go, guys.
An attendant of the relics. One who stands by and serves a successor. It is the same for me. My duty is to stand by your side and lend you my support, just as she did for her successor. We were created with the same purpose.
I can't even look at the center of the screen. I'm like,
That attendant, Leda. She was a defender of sacred ground. I am certain she fulfilled her duty until the end. Yes, she fulfilled her duty, and yet... I'm not sure how to describe what I'm feeling.
why are you smiling then? That's happiness that you're feeling.
It seems so empty somehow. Her life was consumed entirely by her mission. Leda.
Just focus on the bright pink towel. It's not even in view of the camera.
To know more.
Okay.
All this time I've been blindly following my duty. But is what I'm doing really the right thing? What is my true purpose in life? If I am with you, I may be able to find the answers to some of my questions, just as I did now. I realize that what I ask you now may not be part of my duty. Still, I feel I must ask it of you nevertheless. Please, will you permit me to go with you in your future travels?
Dude, we let anyone on board. There's never been...
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I shall do
We've
my
never
best.
rejected anyone. We'd never rejected anybody. There was no reason to even have asked that question.
I'm sorry about what happened. We couldn't find a vessel for the relic, and my body was reaching its limit. That's why we needed you. I wish I could have told... I'm sorry, we couldn't find a... I wish I could have told you everything, but my role as a watcher had to remain secret.
I told you I was looking for my friends, right? We were all mercenaries that grew up in the same orphanage. The person who ran the private military company we belonged to was Mito himself. I never heard from them after I revived, so I figured they were all dead. I never would have guessed they were hiding in one of the Queen's experimental units. Who knows what kind of traps might be waiting. We should keep extra vigilant this time.
That's true all the time.
Haste trips over its own heels, they say. It's times like these that require the coolest heads.
I've never heard that saying. Not saying they don't say it.
Make sure you're...
Just, I don't know, fella.
We don't know why
You
your
might be
blood
making
can
that up.
activate missile and blood springs. However, there's a medicine made from the Queen's blood which has the same sort of effect. This is only a hypothesis, but your blood might be related to the Queen somehow. Let's find the Successors.
That's a spoiler,
Relics
because
are
you know that
released.
we are.
It'll be a step back to the days of chaos and disaster. So, Jack and Eva were killing Successors near Frenzy and switching out their relics. That does stop the Successors from frenzying, and it is a kind of mercy to save them from joining the Lost. However, it seems that what you did for Nicola and Aurora restored their minds. I think your method may be a better way of helping the Successors. The
Okay.
fight...
Huh.
We'll take care.
What did you say?
The fighting will get more intense from here on out.
Yeah, it's been pretty intense. I think I'm good, thank you.
Please accept my blood code. I am not sure what strength it might give you, but I want to support you in every way I can. Here.
Why is the towel so bright, though? That is a question we do not ask on this stream. It is just the towel is everything to this character. And, yeah, it's a good question, actually, all jokes aside. And the answer is, it's the brightest I could make it. If we could make it brighter, it would have been brighter. Going out for a walk, but I hope you have a good stream. You have a good evening. Thank you, Blackbird. Appreciate that, buddy. Have a good walk.
As an attendant of the relics, I have stayed near my successor. I am not sure if that mission is the correct one, but if I am with you, I feel I will find some answer. There may be memories of other attendants.
I like my
ask that you
moonwalking.
find them for me. I have found a purpose. I will give form to the power of the Vestige's creator and bind it to your bloodstream. Because you are you.
That is correct. I am, in fact,
It
me.
seems I can restore the blood code of a Vestige's creator from elements left in the vestige. If you find any vestiges, please let me know.
Code Vein character creator is apparently very good. Dude, it is. It is amazing. Alright, let's restore some vestiges then while we're here. So, I think there's only one that I have that we haven't restored yet. And then there's EOS Vestige 2. Where's one? Oh, wait a second. No, I have these other ones. These ones I don't have the items needed for them. That's all. Okay, so we can do this one. Let's repair this one. See where that takes us.
You're always standing around and protecting me. I don't need you to do that, you know.
Are you saying that you have no need of me, Successors?
No, that's not what I mean. Just... I don't want you to waste your whole life on me. I'll be alright. You should live for yourself.
Live for myself? My successor, he said I should live for myself instead of as an attendant of the abandon my duty, then my life
You see this coming at you. It's a tactical advantage, Kabuki. Look at this. If you see that, you are certainly going to be not only afraid, but physically blinded by the light coming off the towel. The energy just radiating off of it gives me power. Fills me with determination.
nowhere else. As your attendant, protecting you is my duty. I was made to stand by your side, and so, as long as you remain in this place, I will also remain. Now and forever, until the time of your salvation.
I don't mind you asking. I'm interested. As far as games go, I'll play any of them, honestly. So, I know that there's other ones. Like, I know there was a... I want to say, like, Luna and Knights in the name. I remember that one.
Pursuit of their mission. There can be no other life for them beyond the one they were made for. That sort of life. It seems like such an awkward, sad existence.
So, yeah, whatever you think would be good. We're definitely
I
doing
had never met you.
the next fighting game stream in the near future, as you are aware. So think about what else you'd be interested in terms of any Toho stuff. Man's emitting power of essence. For real. We're just so strong. Look at this. Okay, we saved you. What else do you have to say? Let's finish the dialogue. Make sure
Don't worry
we...
about me. I've done what I had to do. Thanks for everything. I have a debt to you that I can never repay. You may tell me not to worry. I've realized we need to learn a lot more about our world. Friends. It feels funny using such a sentimental
Yeah,
word
Lunar
in
Nights,
a
that's it.
situation.
Oh, it's a Metroidvania?
Now I understand just
Ooh,
how
that's one of my
difficult
favorite
it
series
was
of
for me.
games. My favorite game of all time is Castlevania Symphony of the
Now,
Night. So
worried or amused, it's so much busier than when it was just the two of us. But the funny
So
thing is,
probably
it just
that,
feels right
honestly.
to me. I don't think I've ever experienced that before.
sometimes Code Vein is memed as a $50
Well,
character
now you
creator
know
with the
how
whole
I
game
feel.
attached to it.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, that is very solid, actually. It's got a it might have the best character creator I've ever used, without exaggeration.
Don't worry about me. I've done what I had to do. Thanks for everything. I have a debt to you.
Okay,
that
this
can
is what I
never
wanted to see, because I
repay.
accidentally skipped this last time.
You may tell me not to worry about it, but to me, it's an important connection. Because now it's my turn to help everyone out.
Alright, well, help me beat this boss, then.
I've-
Next boss. Really gotta get stronger now. She said, oh, Yakumo. No, we
Used the
talked to you.
place yet?
Wait, how are you over here, Yakumo? I saw you just sitting down a second ago. Yo! Yes, definitely. It's a great pickup and play game. No prior knowledge needed. That's what I'm talking about right there. That sounds like an excellent one. Judging by your reaction, it seems like you might like that one.
I told you I was looking for my friends.
I'm very interested in that one.
We were all mercenaries that grew up in the same orphan.
Okay, so we actually saw this. So yeah, he's moved, but okay. Do you have anything else to say? Let's finish everything. What did you overhear?
You're able to read blood code and incorporate it
This
into
is
your
old
own?
news, Davis. Old news, buddy.
Fascinating. It would be an honor for
What's
you
wrong
to
with your
take mine.
nose?
I'm curious to see how you handle it.
Yeah, hand it over. This isn't like charity. We're trying to save everybody. Give me your blood code. You know I'm the protagonist. Thank you very much.
Depths are a complex of open spaces deep in the
Yes.
mist that formed in the battle against the Queen in prison and the Lost and the miasma.
I
It's
bel-
only
yeah, we
natural.
read this.
The depths are necessary for our future.
Yes.
Don't let the Lost.
No, we won't. We won't do that. Okay, so now I think I know where to go. I think we can go to the gated room now. They should make a Castlevania game with a third person. There are Castlevania games in third person. There is Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1 and 2, which are both fantastic games. I personally did not like them, or I like them. I did not enjoy them as much as I did the side-scrollers, just because there was just something to how clean they do them. But if I take them out of being Castlevania games, wonderful games. I mean, they're wonderful games anyway. I don't mean to I'm not like talking down upon it. Just I think they're very good. They're definitely worth a play if you like Castlevania. One of my favorite bosses of all time is in Lords of Shadow 1, actually, so... don't let me... I'm not speaking down about the game at all. It's a wonderful game. Are there any games in first person? Are you talking about Castlevania specifically? I don't know. I don't know. I have not played any. I don't think so. But it would be really cool. I'm a big fan of Castlevania. What's good, my dude? Hey, Strick, nice to see you, buddy. I think we finally... You remember this elevator we were looking at last time? I think we finally are going to be able to go to this area. Because we were told somewhere deep below in the depths is where we're trying to go. And you guys had helped me out last time saying that this is where we're trying to go. But I just didn't realize how to open the door. And now it's open, so there we go. The way is you just wait, and eventually the door is opened for us. Ashen Cavern, actually. Alright, let's rest here. I think I need like 26,000 to level up. 22,000, okay. Yeah, the show is really good. Show is very solid.
Watch out.
The first and second season are insanely cracked. That's crazy. Oh, I learned something about you. You went to Full Sail. That's crazy. That is crazy. I did go to Full Sail, yes. I went for game development, and I also heavily considered simulation. But I ended up working in simulation anyway, so there you go. All right, here's Dante.
Eva, can you hear me? My asthma must be too thick for it to get through.
Jack, it's all right. We didn't come here to fight you.
Yeah, we did.
The cavalry's here. Your
Me
sidekick
first.
sent us. Eva did? Good.
Very nice.
And she got away
Awesome
safely.
job. Enjoy that, my friend. You're going to have a good time.
There's a lot I want to say to you.
I'll explain
but
simulation
I'll
in a
keep it
minute.
short. Thank you for watching over Nicola. I really appreciate it.
I'm not sure you should be thanking me.
Who was it? Who attacked you?
Somehow, the impossible happened. No successor should be able to escape from a sealed crypt.
A successor? Wait, are you saying Mito attacked you?
Eva already
It does.
told you?
It's a nice sword.
That'll save some explaining.
It's just Dante from Devil May
Strange.
Cry confirmed.
I'm not picking up any relic response from Mito's body. And yet, as far as I can tell, the crypt is still functioning normally. I was completely blind to his deception.
Wait, where are you going?
Mito took the relics that were being held inside of Eva. He has to be stopped, no matter the cost.
Yakumo's gonna get a sweet revenge. Let's go, Nephilim.
Let's go with him. This might get bad.
Bless. What did I miss last week? I forgot about the stream. No worries. Last week we beat the Successor of Breath, and we just did a bunch of stuff. Went back and got a lot of the missiles that we had missed and explored some of those areas because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to go at the start of this stream either, but actually we just by luck happened to get there, so that was pretty good. Okay, so Kabuki asked, what simulation? So simulation is, I mean, there's a lot of different types of simulation, but simulation for me and what I was referring to is basically, it's not quite games, but it's some sort of software that makes you simulate an actual experience, right? Like a flight simulator or some sort of training simulator. That's what I mean when I refer to simulation. Also different Toho fan game series called Komajo Densetsu. It's modeled after classic Castlevania. Fantastic. With so levels with tough as nails design. Classic games, and that sounds awesome. I was not familiar with it, but I'd be happy to check that out. Hi. Hey, what's up? What's up, Panda? I need help. I know Python and AI and Unity and C# and C++ and digital marketing. Can you give me project idea? Raise the chance of my acceptance in a company video game. Well, I don't know if I can give you a project idea, but cheat stuff because yes. I think that's I do agree with that, Strict. That's pretty good. I've been hearing a lot about gas lately. I've heard some of that is from Strict, but actually more and more people have been bringing it up on a serious note. So learning gameplay is, learning the gameplay ability system, gas, is a good idea if you're working in Unreal. Are you familiar with Unreal, Panda? And I'm also, are you the same Panda as in the Discord? I apologize. I have quite a few people with similar names. I don't want to get you confused. If you're not, no worries, of course. But if you are, then I'll know a little bit more about your experience with Unreal. If you're not, no worries. Okay, Unity. So for Unity, I would heavily recommend, if you're specifically looking for a game company, then I think one of the most useful things Unity has is the ability for developers to easily learn. Yeah, RPG is a good. Okay, honestly, I do agree with Strict. So I'll tell you why. So Unity has a really good way of being simple enough in terms of its engine, where a developer can easily learn things like particle effects and level creation, and Unreal does to an extent. But Unity is a lot easier. So I would heavily recommend that you do something like Strict is recommending, where you have a project with just a bunch of different aspects. So for me, when I started my first job, they had asked me many questions about how would you implement this? How would you implement that? And what they wanted to see basically was just that I had experience doing a bunch of different stuff. It actually wasn't in Unreal, or the questions that I had weren't in Unreal. And so they want to know that you can just tackle a bunch of different issues, and there's no better way to do that than either studying a bunch of different mechanics or implementing them. Specifically for gaming, if that's what you want, mechanics are very sought after. So something like an RPG will be useful. I would recommend whatever game that you want to work in, whatever type that you want to work in, you learn some stuff for that, because even if you don't get put on that game to start or ever, it is good that you're passionate about what you're working on, because you can always kind of translate that data and you'll retain it longer. Lastly, what I would say is make sure, even if you're going to work at a game company and you know code, make sure if you're working in Unity that you do know how to work on like some things like VFX, sound effects in the engine, because the Unity projects that I've seen, they use their developers for more than just the code, because C# is often considered a simpler language, and honestly I agree. I think C# is easier to use. It's more convenient than C++, and because of that they often will task you with more things than just code. So it's okay if you can't use Unreal, no worries, but I would make yourself a little bit more familiar with certain things that aren't related to code, which sounds silly, but it's totally true. I got asked many questions about different things that I knew other than code, even when I was applying for a software engineer position. So that's what that is my advice. I think the RPG idea is a good idea because there are a lot of things about it, but it doesn't have to be an RPG. Just, I would pick something that has a lot of different mechanics so that you can show that off. Okay, so basically they ask you how good you are at problem solving. Yes. As you know, a big part of coding is problem solving. And so they're going to ask you about that in general. They might ask you problem solving. I had math questions that were just problem solving. I had logical problem-solving questions. You can get a lot of questions that aren't about code. In fact, I don't even think most of my questions were about code. They pretty much assume if you're applying for these positions that you are going to know some code, so they will ask you some basic ones. But assuming that you can answer them, they won't really have a problem. They'll want to know what other things you can do. If it's, problem solving, if it's enhancing code or cleaning up code, they'll want to know more things like that, actually. Passion is key, agreed. Unity seems like straight up scripting. You see this box here, attach a script to it and move it. It is, C# is writing a lot of scripts, so yes. It's not straight up scripting, honestly it's not, but it is very close. Since there are scripts on all the components, you could use it as like a scripting language, but there are other things you can do with it too. So it can be more than that, but that is a lot more of what Unity is when you compare it to something like Unreal. Start off learning Unity for like 3 months, switch to UE5 and heartbeat, never look back. That's fair.
On my way.
Can I know what kind of questions they will ask me? Sure, I'd be happy to help with that. The problem is that there are hundreds of questions they could ask you. So you'll get a lot of your basic questions when you go to your interview, which would be like the stuff I just talked about. Like, hey, can you solve this random problem? It's never the same numbers, so I can't really ask you one. But they would be like, I guess a good example would be like, assuming this many days out of the year are days that a client has booked off and they have this much budget to spend, how many days can we assume are working days, and would you meet the, would you be able to fulfill the obligations if it costs this much? Like, they're kind of really complicated, and they're not really, a lot of mine weren't relating to coding. Out of the 2 jobs that I had, the interview questions I had, they were just basic problem-solving ones. They're often not a lot of code. I swear to God, they asked that. So where I work now is, of course, I can't say the project, but I work for the Department of Defense. And one of the questions that they asked me was how much time. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm trying to kill this guy. I need to try to focus on the game, not get killed, but I'm trying to not lie to you guys. So I have to remember exactly what it was. So it wasn't how much time. It was if we had this much budget for the program, and we had this many days, working days of the year, and it was expected to be done in this many years, could it be done under the contractual obligations within that time? And so they weren't looking for a specific answer. Like, yes, definitely, because you're going to run into problems where you can't, you actually can't know that, right? Problems could come up, delays could happen, people take time off. But what's different, and what they want you to answer, they want you to think. They want you to logic your way through it. So they want you to say, like, well, I would expect that since we are, like, you could do the actual math. You could say, based on this, and based on all the people we've hired, whatever, and their salaries, you could be like, we would actually be able to finish the project early. However, I would expect that with factoring in risk assessment, that we would be a little too close to the deadline for our liking, and we should ask for an expansion on the contract date. And yes, that is, you're like, what? Well, that didn't really answer, but it did. They just want to see that you can think logically ahead, that you can kind of plan things out, that you can, again, logic through a problem. You do get, like, I got a coding test as well, and that was where I had to actually demonstrate my coding skills, but honestly, that's usually not too bad. There are a lot of questions that are hard, but they don't mind if you get 1 or 2 wrong. Like, I never got my results back. They don't always tell you that if you get them right or not. But they typically won't ask you questions that are, like, super impossible just so that you get them wrong. They're trying to see what you think. They want you to show your work, and they want you to be efficient. They want you to try and be as efficient as possible. They test for that a lot, too. So, yeah, kind of have to be ready for anything but honestly, on a serious note, it's kind of a good thing they ask random questions like that, because you don't have to be working for a specific issue, or you don't have to be studying for a specific thing, right? Study your code, learn what you're using, what you're going to be using, but then just think. Just when you get to the interview, just sit there and think. You know how to problem solve. You made it this far doing that. But you just have to be ready to answer those questions. Whatever they throw at you, just be ready to think about it and solve it. It's going to be stressful because you're there during the interview, but really, I've even done some interviews, and the questions that they have us ask, some they have me think up, and I ask the coding questions, and some they have other people think up. And those ones are typically more generic, but they're just random because they're trying to see and make sure you can, articulate yourself, and, you don't, like, completely freeze up because you're panicked, because that's not good. There will be times you're under pressure at work. Anyway, it's a lot, but that's my honest response to that, because I know a lot of you guys are interested. I've encountered a lot of stuff in the few years that I've been in the industry. I've only been in the industry 5 years, and I've already seen all that. So there's going to be a lot more to it than what I could even explain, but just know that you kind of have to be ready for anything, but don't stress too much either. The main thing is that you can try and logic your way through it, or even if you can't get it correct, you can display the right thought process. Monkey use brain, ape strong together. Well, I guess that's fair. Breaking down a problem to the smallest form makes you great and work toward a goal. Exactly, and I think that's genuinely what they're trying to... I think that's exactly what they're trying to get at. There's actually an item down here I want to grab real quick. So Lewis has passed on. He has met his fate. Yeah, there's a barrier there. Okay. Rip Lou. Yeah, Lewis has passed on. Interesting stuff. Yeah, it is actually kind of interesting, all the different stuff you might run into, but it's cool. I really wouldn't worry too much. I think that's the biggest thing. You'll kind of, your first one's going to be the scariest interview because, you're not familiar with it. After that, I mean, you're going to get, like, a little nervous, right? But you just got to remember, just break down the problem, talk about it. Breaking down problems sounds easy, but sometimes you just get stuck. For sure, skill you must develop. Absolutely. And you're always going to get stuck at a new problem. I still get stuck when I'm trying to break things down at work or on the series or whatever, because I'm like, how can I get this to work? But that's what the job really is. Writing the code is great. It's fun. I love it. But at the end of the day, they don't hire you because you write code, because guess what? An AI will be able to write code pretty soon. Spoiler for the future of our lives. They hire you because they want you to be able to solve problems, really. That's the main thing. Learning the language is super important, don't get me wrong. Of course that's used. But technically, you could know C++ or C# really well and not really be able to code anything they ask you for because you can't solve the problem that they need. So I think their tests are always more about that. In my experience, that has always been the case. I have never had a single interview, and I've done at least... I think I've had 6 interviews that I went to, and I conducted many interviews, probably at least 15 or so. And I've never seen an interview where the main thing was just the coding. If you pass the coding test, that's all well and good. That is important. But the main thing has always been about if you can problem solve. Oh yeah, this is... Right, okay, hold on. Am I at the wrong spot? Like, I can't remember exactly where it was that I went. I feel like I'm going the right way, but I don't remember this. I think I'm exiting. I am, yeah, I just exited, so I have to go. Let me go to the other missile real quick. How harsh are you on the poor fellas? I'm not harsh on them at all, actually. I don't play, like, bad cop or anything. I ask the question, and I hear the response. And if they are really close and they say something incorrectly, so for example, if I was like, what are the different levels of... I'm trying to think of like a good example that's pretty generic. So, like a really basic one I usually ask her, like, what's the difference between public, private, and protected? And you'd probably laugh at how many people don't know that, which is okay if you don't know that. I don't mean it like that. But they freeze up a little bit. Now, if they're close, like if they're like, oh, it's this and this, but not for the parent or not for friend classes or something, I'll say like, well, actually it is for friend classes, but otherwise that was perfect. So like I would correct them so that they will know. Bro, I don't know that. Give me knowledge. You know what? I'll give you any knowledge you want. Okay, so difference between public, private, and protected. Now this is one that I stole from other interviewers, so it's actually very possible that this one will come up for you. More toward protected side. Okay, so if you know public and private, which it's cool if you don't. Really, there's no offense, and I did not mean it that way, so hopefully you didn't take it that way. But it is funny because what people will say on their resume is like, fluent in C++, working for 10 years. Like, they'll say that. And it's like, you're working for 10 years, but none of your work was in C++. So you're not really, you haven't been working in C++ for 10 years. You've been working as a software engineer for 10 years. And they do that. So anyway, that's what's kind of funny. Is like people try and trick you on the resume because they want to sound good, but really it's only hurting them, because if I see that and I ask a question like that and they don't answer, well, it's like, I know you weren't working in C++ and that's fine, but just say that. Just say you're not too competent in C++, but you know how to code, because you can easily convert if you know it. Anyway, okay, protected. So protected is, honestly, it's just like private, except it's, okay, think of it as like private to everyone except for children of that class. Then it's public. So other classes can't access it unless they are a child of the class. Then they will be able to access it. It doesn't have to be a direct child. Like, it doesn't mean if I have a character in the scene, he has to spawn a projectile and that projectile can access it. It's not like that. Any instance of the child, or yeah, any instance of that child class will be able to access it. So hopefully that makes sense. I kind of explained it in a roundabout way, but that's on me, so I apologize. If I confused you, I'll gladly go over again. It sounds like you got it, but if I did mess you up, I apologize, and I will correct that. But that is the difference. It's basically just for the children. Technically, see, this is one I don't even know, so I would get this wrong. Well, I have it. Yep. If my brain could work, I may get this wrong. So I believe friend classes as well can access protected, but I could be wrong. That one's like a niche case. Are you guys familiar with friend classes? That one is one I have almost never used in my entire life. I've never really had a reason to. People at work haven't used it, so I don't know. But it's just kind of one of those fun ones. Like, I wonder if it does or not. So they might be able to too. But I know the children. The children is the important one. They can access that data. Friend class. Okay, so give me a second, because I have the Gilded Hunter here who's probably going to tear me to shreds. Oh. He's starting earlier than I thought. You're not supposed to tear me to shreds already, buddy. Yeah, get him, Lewis. Get him, Lewis. This is free money. We can beat this guy easy. I've definitely lost, guys, because I don't have a single heal. Oh, I'm taking a hit here. Nope. Excellent dodge. I am brilliant, guys. Best gamer there ever was, fellas. Hit me with that res, Lewis. I'm going to clutch up real quick. Yeah, Lewis didn't even want me. He's like, bro. Okay, so let's see. Okay. I'll talk about friend class in a second. Basically, we should always use protected because we were taught to create parents that make children for efficiency, right? Why would we ever use private at that point? Okay. So honestly, I'm not trying to go against what you're saying, but I would not say always create a parent that make a child, because it does depend on what you need. So you could have a class that you only need one of. You'll never need children. That's just your class. In which case, of course, you wouldn't use protected. However, when you could use protected, when it would really be good, is if you have many classes of similar types that aren't children of each other. And so, for example, let's say I have a base fighter, and then I have 2 children of that, and I have like child fighter A, child fighter B. In which case, the children are both different. They're both unique, right? They are their own class, but they're both children of their parent, obviously. Now, if child A has 2 children and child B has 2 children, though, and in that situation, then they are still from the same parent technically, but if child B has different variables than child A has, then child, let's say, D and E, it's probably hard without seeing it, but basically, if you have a chart and you have like one at the top, then it has 2 children, then each of those children have 2 children, then you start getting to a spot where you might have the same variables, or similar variables, let's say, not the same variables, that could be unique to them. So let's say I have commands in my fighter class. This is actually a real example that I used in the world. So, because in my fighting game, I debated how I wanted to handle this. So say we have a fighter, and say we have, like, tanks. Okay, you know what? Let's not do fighters. It does work, but let's actually just use a simpler example. Let's do, like, support, damage, and tank legends in a game. Something like that. Now, if they're all derived of, like, a base character, you might have support, damage, and tank as children of that. But they also might have individual children. Like, let's say if we're doing Overwatch, if you're support, you're going to be, Mercy, Zenyatta, whatever. Tank, Reinhardt, that stuff. So in this case, you have all of them are children of the base character, but support could have different variables in it than tank. All right, that was a lot of setup, but here's where it comes in handy. So if you had private, then you're, say, all right, let's start with healer. And let's say healer has a variable on it that's private. Well, yes, you're never going to use that wrapper class, that healer class, and you'll always be accessing the specific healer character, like Mercy, like Zenyatta. And so private doesn't make sense. You'd absolutely want to use protected. And that's why you're saying, like, we should always use protected. You're right, except you may want to actually just have a generic class in certain cases. So think of it like this. If you have a situation where you don't care about what specific character it is, you just want to know that it was a type of healer class. So its parent is of healer, not of tank, not of damage. In that case, you don't need to know all the variables. You don't need to know any of that information. You only need to know, is it of this type? So anytime you have to make an instance of a class, say I have to make an instance of healer. So for the healer class, we use protected. For the end proc, such as Mercy, it'd be private. That's a really good way to think of it, because what I was literally just going to say, I think you got it down. Anytime you have to use an instance of a class, if you make an instance of the class, like in the world, and not a pointer, but you have to actually have an instance of the class, every single variable has to be tracked and shared with everyone else, or be able to be obtained by everyone else. So if it's not private, then all that data is shared. If it is private, it can just be ignored, and it doesn't have to be even accessed when referenced by another class. So for performance reasons, basically, I guess the entire reason I was saying this is if you ever have a class that you're going to access, but no one else has to see it, then private, of course. Protected is so that other classes don't have to see it, but not just for the convenience sake, also for the memory. They don't have to access those variables from that class whenever they're using a reference of that class. So private's even one step farther than that. Sure, it's easier because, well, you simply can't access it, but also the performance side is really important because nobody can see that. So you have all these children, and you're like, well, they don't need to know that. And all those variables aren't loaded in whenever there's an instance in the world. The only one that can see that is that class, and that'll go a long way, actually. A good example of this, without talking about the project, in a multiplayer scenario, we had 2 classes that were, been talking so much. two characters that were trying to communicate with each other. Well, when you pass data along between those two characters, like over a server, server client or peer-to-peer, client-to-client. Yes, I can give an example. Give me just 1 second. If you are trying to pass data to each other, like client-to-client, whatever, when you pass that packet of information or however many packets you pass, and you have like, oh, this is what changed. This is what I've updated. So in terms of replication, that's what replication is, right? We're passing data to either the server or to a client to update their scenario. Well, when you do that, you have to pass along all data relevant to it. So if you have everything public, all that data's coming. You're passing like genuinely. It could be a lot more variables. If you look at like the fighting game, for example, the fighter character class has a ton of variables. Now, do I make them all public? Maybe. I make a lot of them public because typically what I do actually is wait until I get to pretty much the end of the project or before I'd have to demo a speed test, and then I would change it. Should you follow that? Probably not. You should probably think about it and see if you want it to be public, private, or protected first, but it's still something we're gonna be covering, I promise. And I haven't been like not mindful of it, just that's actually how I work, so it's just easier for me. But yeah, anyway, long story short is there is a use case for each of them. So for the healer class, okay, yeah, sorry. Can you give an example of public, like what attribute an enemy would be public? Sure. So a lot of times you'll hear about getters or setters, mutators or accessors, which is how you can set private data or protected data on a class. And that's useful because the class itself can handle that, and you don't have to do it through like the game mode. You don't have to grab the game mode, then grab the player, then set it. Public would be really good if you have a lot of different things that can impact this one thing in different ways. So say, for example, we have a player health variable, and we want to set it to a specific value. And it could be like the value minus the damage of this trap. It could be minus the damage of this hitbox. It could be incremented due to the food that we just ate. You could get like a set health function on the character, but if the character has a lot going on, because typically, we're controlling the character, so a lot of times it has a lot going on. If you just update that variable and send information to the character, like grab game mode, character, set health all the time, you have all these other function calls that are waiting on the game mode to be able to call it. So for me, what I like to do is just make it public, because that one is one that genuinely pretty much everything will need to be able to see it. I mean, like the missile in this case might be able to need to see my health. I don't think it does in this game, but maybe it's like if you're at full health, give an extra bonus, or if you're below a certain number of health, heal it. Like actually, it heals you. It sets you to full health. So like the missile uses it. The enemies will use it. Some of the bosses, they fight you differently based on your health or if you're in the state of healing. When you have something that is used by so many other classes, I personally like to make them public, because then instead of putting all these calls onto one thing, whether it's the game mode or the character itself, we can just edit it directly there. Some people would disagree because they like to use getters and setters for everything, and I'm not going to argue that because we are taught that a lot. But in my honest experience and in what I've done for work in the last 5 years, that trade-off that you get from being able to just actually update the value using a public variable as opposed to calling the getter or setter every single time is literally faster. It's literally faster to just have a public variable that you're setting data on instead of calling a function over and over and over again. So the only reason I know that is because I do speed tests at work. As one of the things I have to do is every so often we have a frame rate requirement, and they will, I don't know, I know you're familiar with Unreal Strict and Crim. There's something called the session front end. The session front end will give you information down to the very tick so that you can see all the functions that were called, and it also gives you the time it took to call them. Setting a public variable is faster than continuously calling the same function. So health would be 1, but mana would just be not good to make public because the enemy should not care about mana you got. Is that right? That is the right mindset. That's exactly how I would say it. It is always up to the developer, and that's how I'm going to word it because it's true. I'm not going to say I'm right because there's not like a right or a wrong. It does depend on the instance. It does depend on the game or the simulation. And in my case, I typically am going more for performance than anything because that's a lot of what I do at work. So, you know, don't just take what I say and be like, yeah, this is right. But yes, if you like mana, yeah, not everything's going to need mana. Like the enemies shouldn't care about the mana you have. Like, you know, this trap that you run into is probably not going to care about the mana you have. So I would say you could make I would say you could make it protected. Honestly, you could probably make it private. I'm trying to think, like, because the mana wouldn't be one where it was affected by, I don't think it would be handled differently by any class. Like, if you use a spell, take mana, you know, or maybe if someone uses an attack that drains your mana, drain mana. But I don't think that would be different for each child class. I would say mana would be private, honestly. I wouldn't even make it protected. I think it could just be private. But I could be wrong. Again, it could depend on your scenario, too. Anyway, I know I rambled a lot, but hopefully that was able to help. That's my genuine opinion on it. If you want me to write it out, because that'd be easier, just feel free to message me on Discord. I'll give you my honest response. And I can, even though I don't talk about what I do at work, I can talk about like the actual concepts behind them and how to kind of test that stuff, because that's where I'm making these claims from. It's actual genuine evidence of like when I was using the health and the public speed versus the continuously calling a setter to set health. That's like, I'm not just talking to talk. That's actually something I've discovered through working. Yeah, I mean, the enemy's a little bit harder, to be honest. I would say that I would say that the enemy's health could probably be protected. No, see, it's tough though. Like this is a genuine tough one. So, you know what? Let's talk about why I'm saying it's tough, because I think that could be useful too. Hey, talking about problem solving. This is how we do it, right? This is how we go over it. So, okay, the enemy, not so many things need to know about the enemy's health is the truth, because I need to know it, or like the game mode needs to know it, to know that they've been defeated. And then also to display it to the HUD, for an example. But really, not a lot of things we'll need to know about it. Like, unless you have another enemy that's going to heal them, the other enemies don't have to know about this enemy's health, to be honest. And so, I would say you really don't have to. At most, I'd say...
Back with us?
I would say protected is safe, because maybe you do want your... I've seen... I don't know if they do it in this game, but I know in Dark Souls, there are enemies that heal other enemies. And of course, they have to know... the health of the player. So... even if they're not children of that one, they would still be able to access it through a mutator or setter if you had... mutator or setter. Mutator or accessor if you had to. But then anything that actually needed it, such as that class or any children of that class that could heal that character, they would be able to do it. So you could do that. No, so you can't grab protected variables. Well, you can't grab protected variables through the game mode. It has to be through a child. It has to be either that class or a child of that class. It has to be in their hierarchy. It's actually really fun talking about coding the whole time. I gotta be honest. It's pretty exciting. I like Lewis never came through the gate with me. He might have gotten stuck. Fighting game, you may want to make most variables public, depending on how complex the AI system is. You want variables like health meter or other system to influence the behavior possibility. That's pretty good. I would say that's right, because it is true. Like, okay, using a fighting game as an example, since we are making one. It is true that more things would probably be public in that than other games, because technically in a fighting game, like, your health is everything. Sure, if I die in this game, I go back and I can take damage and I can heal. But literally, like, in the fighting game, it's how much damage did this hitbox do to you? How much damage do you lose from the throw? How much health overall does this character have? Because different characters can have different values for their health. Some may have more or less. The game mode needs it because the HUD needs it. Or if you skip the game mode, because you could grab it directly off the character, at least the HUD needs it, so it needs to be sent to the UI. Or the character needs to be able to grab through the HUD. Like, you kind of need the health everywhere. It can also... It needs to be filled up at the end of the round, which, like, personally, I've done it through the game mode in the series because I think that's the right way to do it. Yeah, see, it's just used from a lot of places, so I'd say probably. I would say probably that could be public. You don't have to do it just based off of your uses. I was just doing that for some performance things that I saw. You can genuinely do it how you see fit. For example, if you never want the character to take damage from the game mode and you want them to always take damage from the enemy so that they know exactly what enemy it is that's hurting them, then by all means, you know, make it private and set up a set health or get health and just do it like that. There's really not just one way to do it. I just brought up those methods because from a performance standpoint, I know that if you're using it like over and over again, it can actually be faster just to set it on the variable. So that's why I said that. But still, use your best judgment. No one, honestly, in my honest belief, I don't think anyone that would ever be interviewing you would like say you were flat out wrong. They would ask you the difference between public, private, and protected, and they might ask you where would you put this. But if you explain yourself as to why, I don't think they would ever complain at you and be like, yeah, that's just absolutely incorrect. They might have a preference and they might say we would rather you do this. And sometimes you just have to follow along, even if you don't agree, because that's might have been how the project was set up. And so, you know, you want to basically conform to their standards. But yeah, if you just explain yourself, I wouldn't worry. I don't think you have to stress too much. It really is mainly up to you how you do it. By the way, did you create the game mode in C++ for the fighting game? We did create the game mode in C++. I have a game mode component, but I've genuinely been debating just converting everything in it to C++ as well, because I actually don't need much in the game mode. The only thing that would be kind of complicated is the HUD, because I almost always make my widgets in Blueprint instead of trying to create them through C++, because I just genuinely don't like doing that, but we could get around it if we decide to do it. I'm using the wrong button. I was like, what? I was using left trigger and not right trigger, and I was wondering why I wasn't getting my buffs. Speaking of this boss, though, he is actually very cool. I'm so excited for game dev. Yeah, I think you genuinely should be excited. That is great news that you're starting. It is really a lot of fun. And we have done so much with it for work. Like, even though I'm working in simulation, a lot of things you learn from just development in general and game dev is going to be really useful. Now, when he gets buffed, I learned this. I was talking last time, so I didn't speak about this, but he buffs and he gets huge damage resistance, but his buff actually runs out, unlike a lot of the other bosses. His buff does not stay forever until the end of the fight. So I think this is mainly a survival game at this point. And then we wait until his buff is done and start hurting him again. This boss is pretty strong, though. Thanks for listening and participating, guys. That was skill issue. That was honestly a really fun conversation. I enjoyed talking about that a lot. And like I said, I always advise that you go and, you know, look at it yourself. You know, take the teachings that you get, look at it yourself, see what you feel is best, and really just decide what is best for the situation. Because I'm saying all this in a different scenario, everything I said might have just, I mean, not that it's like incorrect, but it might not fit. Like, oh, well, we don't want that because intentionally we want to only use getters and setters. Well, in that case, then just throw everything I said out and just use those, because it could change in every case. So I'm kind of speaking with what I've worked with, but it could be totally different for you. So always try and assess the situation, just do what's best. I wouldn't ever listen to just one person. Someone might say I'm completely wrong. I might hear what they say and be like, they're completely wrong, and yet we could both be working really well on our projects and getting everything we need done, meeting all the requirements. So it's really, really unique to every situation. So really don't stress, guys, but feel free all the time to ask me these types of questions, because I like talking about them, and it gets me thinking. I have another question. Hope you're still here by this time. Yeah, I'm going to wrap up, but if you want to ask it real quick, I know you got to take the dog out. I mean, I was going to wrap up like right now, but I'll answer it right now. Or you can message me on Discord, of course. But if you would like me to answer it right now, and you have time, go ahead and hit me with it. Quick question. How long did it take for y'all to learn the language? Learn a language? For me, I actually was coding from pretty early on, but the first language that I officially learned was Visual Basic in high school. And so I felt pretty confident at that point, and of course that was over the course of a year. In terms of when I was like feeling really fluent with it and being able to create stuff with it, I learned C++ toward the end of college, and then I went to Full Sail to learn more. I felt very confident in it about halfway through the program. There's still a lot to learn, but I felt like I could really work with it and use stuff at that point. So I would say probably about 2 years was like I was really comfortable with what I was doing. Yeah, always going to learn new stuff about the language, so that's never going to stop. Alright, but anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up. I didn't even realize it was 6. We were having a good time talking. I appreciate the questions. This is genuinely really good to see. And always, if you disagree with anything I say, honestly, don't be afraid to speak up. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're wrong, because like I said, it's really different for every situation. So if you were taught something and you're like, no, this is really how I think it's best to do it, say it. And then if anything, if I learn from it, I'll be like, oh, yeah, you're right. I think it's better because of that. So these conversations are great. And I appreciate you all being here. And this is still a fun stream on Code Vein's sign as well. We actually figured out where we're going. Excuse me. Which is always good. So, Raiden said, yeah, same. C++ was my first language. Took it to college and it was natural at it. C++ is just so fun. All right, go for it. Go for it, Strict. I'm going to wrap up. But you can ask the question, and I'll answer it as quickly as I can. And like I said, we can talk about it on Discord after if you want to. I just have to get going. Correct. The UE4 tutorials differ a bit. Would you ever transfer everything to UE5? You bet. I have actually transferred all the series to UE5 already, except for the fighting game. And that is only because I wanted to use GGPO for the rollback netcode. And there is not one for UE5 right now. So, I have to figure that one out still. I am genuinely still looking at that. I think I actually figured out how we can do it without that. So we're probably going to bring the fighting into UE5 as well. But yeah, research the missing gaps. That's good. I have to do enhanced input pretty soon on all the series. So like there's going to be some changes when we keep upgrading. But don't fret. I'm going to try and keep it as close to the current as possible, but I don't want to keep upgrading every time, because if we have to keep changing it and people stay on the older versions, then it gets confusing for them too. So I'm going to try and just do it like one at a time. Like, maybe 6 months have passed, we can do an upgrade, something like that. All right, guys. Thanks again for everything. Raiden, thank you for those subs. That was very, very kind of you, and I appreciate it. And everyone, thanks for the wonderful conversation. Feel free to keep it going in Discord, or like I said, just message me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. I just have to go. So I will be back next week, Wednesday, around 4:30 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Nothing else planned right now. And we'll be having a watch party this Sunday for My Neighbor Totoro, I believe. So everyone, have a good night, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.